Most people believe their ambition is a unique force, a burning desire to be extraordinary. They are mistaken. The terror of being ordinary, of being forgotten, of being average, is a far more powerful and universal engine. Both forces exist, and smart-driven people build their entire lives on one or the other, often without knowing which. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might change your mind. The fear of being ordinary whispers. It doesn't shout. It's the low-grade anxiety you feel scrolling through a former classmate's promotion announcement. It's the pressure to monetize your hobby, to turn rest into a side hustle, to brand your existence. It's the quiet calculation that a good job with a respectable title is better than a risky passion that might lead nowhere. The fuel for this engine is avoidance. Avoid being the person who peaked in high school. Avoid being the one with nothing interesting to say at a dinner party. Avoid the sinking feeling that your life is just a sequence of unremarkable days. This drive manifests in a specific type of success, a legible success. It's about climbing a ladder that everyone agrees is important. Law school, medical school, a management track at a Fortune 500 company. Getting the promotion, buying the bigger house in a slightly better school district. Each step is a visible signal to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that you are not average. You are moving up. The path is predefined. The challenge is to run it faster and more efficiently than everyone else. It's a competition in conformity. The metrics are clear. The salary, the title, the square footage, they are easily compared, and in that comparison you find temporary relief from the fear. You have evidence. You are not ordinary. That sounds convincing. It even sounds responsible. But there's a problem with a life architected around avoidance. When your primary motivation is to run away from something, you rarely control the direction you are running in. You just run. You end up in a career chosen to impress people you don't like. You work punishing hours to afford a lifestyle that leaves you no time to live. The person who is terrified of being ordinary often becomes something else. They become a highly optimized, high-achieving, and deeply exhausted version of a script someone else wrote. The fear of an ordinary life can ironically create a life that feels profoundly unlived, a life defined by avoiding negatives rather than chasing positives. That sounds bleak, but is it even true? For many, the desire to be extraordinary feels intensely real. This is a different beast entirely. It is a pull, not a push. It's the scientist obsessed with a single protein, working late in the lab because of pure, unadulterated curiosity. It's the musician who hears a melody in her head and must get it out, whether it becomes a hit or is only ever heard by her. It is the entrepreneur who is genuinely captivated by a problem, driven to create a solution, even if the world hasn't yet realized it has that problem. The motivation here is internal. It is love for the craft, obsession with the puzzle, a deep, abiding need to bring something into the world that was not there before. This path has no ladder. Often, it requires building one from scratch or ignoring the concept of ladders entirely. Its milestones are illegible to the outside world. Years of failed experiments, hundreds of rejected canvases, a decade of coding in a basement. The validation comes from the work itself, from the incremental progress that only the creator can see. This is the source of every true breakthrough in art, science, and philosophy. It is the engine of human progress. People on this path are not trying to be better than their peers on a predefined scale. They are playing a different game entirely, a game of their own invention. Their goal isn't to get a higher score, it's to change the rules of the game. And yet, this is where the romantic narrative breaks down. The pursuit of the truly new is a high-wire act with no safety net. Most fall. For every celebrated innovator, there are thousands of bankrupts, burnouts, and forgotten dreamers. The starving artist is a cultural cliché because it is a statistical reality. The scientist who dedicates her life to a theory that turns out to be a dead end gets no prize for effort. Society celebrates the results of this path, the finished painting, the Nobel Prize, the world-changing technology. It does not celebrate the process, which is brutal, isolating, and overwhelmingly likely to end in failure. We praise the rare survivor and call it a viable path. Here is the most dangerous part of the entire equation. Most of us, when we feel that pull of ambition, are confusing the two drives. We adopt the language of the extraordinary passion, purpose, changing the world, to dignify our fear of being ordinary. The startup founder talks about a mission to connect humanity, while his business model is just a more efficient way to sell targeted advertising. The corporate lawyer tells himself his work is intellectually stimulating when his real motivation is the status and security that shields him from the chaos of a less structured life. We are masters at telling ourselves a story of positive creation when the raw data of our decisions points to a pattern of negative avoidance. Why? Because it feels better. It feels nobler to be pulled by an anxiety than to be pushed by an anxiety. The consequences for a society that runs on the fear of ordinary are subtle but profound. It creates a massive, well-educated and deeply anxious workforce competing for a narrow set of prizes. It encourages risk aversion disguised as prudence. It optimizes for the predictable. It results in endless iterations on existing ideas. A dozen different food delivery apps, another social media platform with a slight twist. It generates immense activity, but much of it is motion on a horizontal plane. A frantic churning that keeps the status quo humming, just with more features. The system is perfectly designed to channel the immense energy of status anxiety into safe, profitable, and ultimately ordinary outcomes. Imagine a young person with a genuine talent for sculpture. She feels the pull, the internal drive, but she also feels the push, the fear, her parents' concern, the student loan statements, the images of successful friends on social media. The fear of ordinary path offers her a clear trade. Go to law school, work hard for a decade, and you can be a rich hobbyist sculptor on weekends. Your life will be comfortable, secure, respectable, ordinary in a very successful way. The desire for extraordinary path offers a different trade. Dedicate your life to your art. You might redefine sculpture for the 21st century. You will more likely end up working in a coffee shop, your dreams collecting dust in a storage unit. Our society has created a terrible paradox. We publicly praise and mythologize the outcomes of the desire-driven path. We build museums for the artists and give awards to the scientists, but we privately and structurally reward the fear-driven one. We create an economic and social system where the rational choice for almost every single person is to abandon the unique, risky internal call in favor of the legible, secure, external script. We tell our children to follow their dreams, but we teach them to fear the exact kind of life that often requires. The real courage isn't having an extraordinary dream. It's facing the soul-crushing terror of failing at it and ending up with less than you would have had if you'd just been ordinary from the start. So what do you think? The fear of being average leads to a safe, legible, but potentially hollow success. The desire for the extraordinary is the source of all true progress, but it's a path that destroys most who walk it. We say we want one, but we build our lives and our entire world around the other. Where do you see this tension in your own life? And which fear is actually greater? The fear of being ordinary, or the fear of what you'd have to sacrifice to be anything else?